Same old Dallas Cowboys. Cut.
Football is back, baby. What's going on, everybody?
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video here with the Playbook Sports Podcast. I'm Colin coming at you with the Dallas Cowboys recap video, and this should be a fun one.
Before we get into today's video, guys, I just want to give a special shout out to today's sponsors, starting with Gold Fine and Bowles, lawyers for the injured. Personal injury, workers' compensation, those are their two things, but any sort of legal advice, they're the people to call. Give them a phone call, 309-673-5144. Tell them we sent you, okay? And I'd also like to shout out SeatGeek for sponsoring today's video as well. Use promo code PlaybookSports on their website to get $20 off your first purchase of $30 or more. Let's get back to the video.
Had about 12 hour, had about 15, 18 hours here, roughly since the game ended, to kind of mull it over and think about it. Although I was probably already over it before the game, well before the game ended, to be honest with you. Looking back at this game, it was over really when it started. Dallas won the toss last week against the Patriots at home. They won the toss and you know what? We know what we have defensively. Let's go ahead and trot the offense out there. Let's receive the ball. They went down, touchdown. The opening drive sets the tone. The wins the toss last night, Sunday Night Football in San Francisco. You know what? Let's defer. And what does San Francisco do? They go right down the field. George Kittle touchdown on the opening drive, wide open, running across the back of the end zone. Purdy had some 7-0 Niners. Cowboys come out, punt. Here we go again. Straight to George Kittle, little trickery, double reverse pass to Purdy, wide open George Kittle running down the sideline. And it was 14-0 really before you could blink. Dallas's first 4 possessions, they ran 10 plays, 3 3-and-outs, and then a fumble on the first play of another drive, which if you ask me, we watched the replay 1,000 times. I'm still not convinced that defensive player for the Niners who fell on the ball on the sideline actually had possession by the time he was out of bounds. Just because your big body's laying on top of it doesn't mean you have possession of the ball itself. Neither here nor there. But that was kind of the point in the game where, it was still 7-0 at that point in the first fumble. But at that point of the game, whenever San Francisco comes out touchdown, Dallas comes out, stalls punts, and then that possession happens the second Dallas drive, and the ball doesn't hit any of the 3 linebackers or Tony Pollard, who fumbles the ball initially, and it doesn't even hit the sideline. It bounces just perfectly along the boundary, and then the Niners gave nothing. And here comes Dallas. A great throw by Dak Prescott there to Turpin on really an unlikely route for him. You don't see him run many of those routes. A nice little over-the-shoulder adjustment catch, 14-7. You never know, a little bit of life. Nope, here come the Niners, 21-7 before you could blink. And then Dallas is trying to scramble before the half. Don't get a score before the half. Go into the half down 21-7. Come out of the half getting the ball, and you think, you know what, if you score on this possession, maybe. They go down, get a field goal. It's 21-10. We need to stop. Nope. San Francisco touchdown, 28-10, and that's where the wheels fell off. 28-10, Dak Prescott throws his first interception. Really kind of an arm punt trying to get Brandon Cooks over the top of the defense, and he overthrew him by about 10 yards right into a safety who was playing center field. Sloppy throw there by Dak, but you can't blame him for trying to get Brandon Cooks involved, I suppose. What did the Niners do after that? Touchdown. Here's 35-0. Another Dak interception on a ball he tries to force into Michael Gallup. Good play by the defender, pops it up. Here comes Fred Warner. It almost looked identical to the interception he had last year in the playoff game as well. Tight window throw to receiver, pops up. Fred Warner's just in the right place, right time. Grabs it. They go score again. Here we go, 42-10. And then Dak Prescott on that last one. He threw an interception to a backup linebacker. The Niners showed Fred Warner and Nick Bosa just standing on the sideline, helmets off, helmets not even anywhere in sight. And here's Dak Prescott throwing quick outs to linebackers. It looked like a preseason game late in that fourth quarter. That's what I've heard in the media, and I agree. The Niners really pulled everybody early in that fourth quarter. Dallas still had a full possession with their starters in, and Dak threw a pick. Frustrating part of this game, in my opinion, is they just didn't even attempt to get CeeDee Lamb involved in this game. 4 catches for 49 yards. Watching the film back on a couple of Dak's interceptions and a couple of his incompletions where he threw the ball out of bounds, CeeDee Lamb has several step lead on his nearest defender, and Dak Prescott's just not even looking in the vicinity of CeeDee Lamb. Tough. You look at my X factors for this game in the preview video. I did Jake Ferguson for Dallas. He had 3 catches for 28 yards, no touchdowns. His longest reception was 20 yards. So really he had 1 for 20 and then 2 for 8. Didn't really get him involved. He's been over 50 yards the last couple of weeks. And he was really held at bay by Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner and this 49ers defense. Sorry, my lips are extremely chapped. I'll probably be licking them the entire recap video here. Dallas's defensive X factors, I gave out Jonathan Hankins and Mozzie Smith kind of as a combo duo. Just knowing that middle of that defensive line was going to have to be stout to stop this McCaffrey attack in the San Francisco running game. Jonathan Hankins showed up more so in the passing game, batting down a couple of balls at the line that Brock Purdy threw. He also had 3 tackles on the game. Mozzie Smith, 1 tackle on the game, no passes broken down, no tackles for loss, no sacks. I've been really kind of disappointed in the Cowboys' first-round pick from this last year's draft. Now you look at the San Francisco 49ers X factors I gave out. I gave out Deebo Samuel, although I'm going to try to see if this can see it. Oh, it's not going to do it. I had George Kittle written down initially and then scribbled them out for Deebo after I saw the stats for Dallas's defense for yards after the catch compared to San Francisco's offense for yards after the catch with Deebo Samuel's season average and his total numbers. More than 50% of his receiving yards have been after the reception. So I said, you know what? Let me scribble out George Kittle's name here. Let me throw Deebo Samuel in there. Well, George Kittle just went for 3 touchdowns. But Deebo Samuel on the game had 3 receptions as well on 3 targets, 55 yards, no touchdowns. 40 of those 55 yards came on one play, or 42, sorry, of those 55 came on one play. And then you look at Lenore defensively. I thought he would be the left side corner, which has been the place that many of these teams facing San Francisco has targeted the left side of the field. 3 tackles on the game, 1 pass breakup. Pretty good game all around for San Francisco's defense, I would say. They look damn good. They look damn good on every level, and I just really don't know how a team's going to beat them. If you ask me, the Niners had the better quarterback last night, the better running back last night, the better tight end last night, the better offensive line last night, the better receiving core last night, the better defense last night, the better special teams last night, and the better coaching last night. Dallas did nothing last night better than the San Francisco 49ers did. And moving forward, that's a really big gut punch for this Dallas Cowboy team. It's kind of been the obstacle the last few years. Can they get past the 49ers? They can beat the Eagles. They do it every year in the regular season. Normally they split 1-1. So you know in the back of your head, this team's beatable. We do it every single year. Now the 49ers, on the other hand, this is a team they haven't been able to beat for the last 3 or 4 seasons. So coming into this game, this was more so not this specific game itself, but it was more for the psyche of just knowing that you could beat a team. And honestly, last night, I'm not certain there's a single person in that locker room that truly believes that if they played 10 times that they would actually win, you know, more than one or even one of the 10 times. San Francisco just looks like that much better of a team, and they played like it last night. So let's dive back into my keys to victory here and see if Dallas did anything that I had thought that they should have done in order to go out and get a victory. First key to victory here, get an early lead. Well, they were down 14-0 before you could fucking pass gas. Down 14-0. As I mentioned, Dak was number 1 in QBR with a lead, number 26 in the NFL when he's tied or trailing. They were tied or trailing the entire night. I mean, they were trailing from the first possession of the game. Key to victory number 2, take care of the ball. Well, Dallas lost the turnover battle 4-1. Tony Pollard fumbled once. Dak Prescott threw 3 interceptions. Yikes. Although I will say this, you know, classic Dak defender. The game was 28-10 mid-third quarter by the time the first pick came, and then it was just 3 straight possessions of interceptions. So just a really, really bad stretch there, but no excuse. I mean, you can't throw in a double coverage on a deep shot. You can't throw a tight window to Gallup on a ball that could be popped up on the inside of the field, inside the numbers. And that last one to the backup linebacker for the Niners, he just jumped it. I mean, that was perfect read on his part, but not a great throw by Dak either. So Dallas loses the turnover battle 4-1. Key to victory, take care of the ball, obviously didn't come to fruition. Key to victory number 3, convert in the red zone. As I mentioned, Dallas's offense has been 30th ranked in the red zone. The Dallas Cowboys didn't get into the red zone last night. Their one touchdown came on a 26-yard pass, and the only other score in the game was a field goal for Brandon Aubrey. You can't convert in the red zone if you don't get in the red zone. Number 4, limit Christian McCaffrey, and I apologize. I should have written the stats down here, but thankfully I have my phone pulled up. McCaffrey, 19 carries for 51 yards is less than 3 yards a rush. He did have the 1 touchdown, but that's inevitable. If the San Francisco 49ers get inside the 10, McCaffrey's getting that touchdown. Looking at the pass game, he had 2 catches for 27 yards. So quick math here, he had 21 touches for 78 yards. I'll take that all day of the week. That's less than 4 yards a touch from Chris McCaffrey. They actually did this key to victory, although the other pieces around the 49ers and their defensive side of the ball did more to uplift and take some of that slack that McCaffrey didn't pick up himself. Fifth and final key to victory is pressure Brock Purdy, and that also didn't come to fruition. Dallas Cowboys defense looked really disappointing last night. They had 1 sack on Brock Purdy, and it was on a corner blitz that Jaron Kearse got home. You look at this defense, they had given up more points last night against the Niners than they'd given up in their first 4 games combined. Terrible. They're now one of 6 teams to lose this year by 30-plus points, and there's not a lot of good teams on that list. So really an ass beating from start to finish. There was nothing really in my mind that, I'm going to come out here, I'm going to be fired, I'm going to be angry about it. It's just like, well, same old Cowboys. They just can't beat the 49ers. As I mentioned in my preview video, I picked the 49ers to win this game. I picked them to cover the spread. And there was no point in this game where I truly was worried about the spread. Maybe when it was 14-7 right after that touchdown, I was like, okay, maybe a stop. But this Dallas defense never came about. I don't know whether to blame Mike McCarthy more for the offensive play calling and only putting up 10 points, or if I'm more willing to blame Dan Quinn, because Dan Quinn just got outclassed by Kyle Shanahan. I mean, so many open throws. The scheme just never made an adjustment. You look at Brock Purdy, I think he had 1 contested, passing wise. The 49ers had 1 contest, maybe 2 contested catches all night. I was listening earlier, the one to Brandon Ayuk, the ball was thrown a little behind him. Stephon Gilmore's diving in. That was probably the most contested catch of the night. I mean, these guys are running wide open. I mean, Kittle's first 2 touchdowns, wide open across the back of the end zone. And on the wheel route, I mean, my God, it was that same exact play. Sam Laporta caught one in the Detroit Lions game earlier in the day, just wide open with everybody trailing him down the field. So an absolute beating. As expected, I was expecting a loss going into it. I wasn't expecting a 32-point loss, worst loss of Dak Prescott's career as far as point differential. And a lot of questions to ask. I mean, the media is going to run wild, but you can't worry about what other people are saying about you. You got to worry about yourself. So moving forward, do I think Dallas is terrible? No. Do I think they're still going to make the playoffs? Yes. Do I think they're going anywhere in the playoffs? If they have to play the 49ers, no. And that's likely who they're going to have to play. That's likely going to be the 1 seed in the NFC. I know Philadelphia is also 5-0, but this 49ers team just looks insane on every single level. Offense, defense, special teams, coaching. I mean, they just look set. So recap here. Cowboys lose 42-10. Let's go over some team stats before I get out of here. Sorry, I got my phone pulled up here. First downs in the game. San Francisco 49ers, 25 first downs. Dallas, 8 first downs. San Francisco 49ers had more first downs in the first quarter than the Dallas Cowboys had plays ran or yards in the first quarter. Disgusting. The Niners ran 18 more plays offensively, had about 225 more yards offensively, had the same amount of drives, outpassed Dallas 251-140. And then you look at the rushing, 170 yards rushing to 57 yards rushing for Dallas. Dallas was never able to establish that running game. And when they make you one-dimensional and they can drop 7 guys in coverage with the linebackers underneath, defensive backs over the top, and they can get home with those 4 up front, it's going to make a hard game here. You got to throw some tight window throws, and Dak Prescott and Dallas Cowboys were not able to do that last night. Also, the San Francisco 49ers won the time of possession 37-23. So when they got the ball, they held on to it, and they scored as well. As I mentioned, Dallas didn't get in the red zone, so they were 0-0 in red zone possessions. The 49ers got in the red zone 5 times, 4 touchdowns, and 5 times. Defense bent, and it broke. Could not get a stop in the red zone. All night, Dallas looked rough. I mean, third down efficiency, Niners were 6 of 11. Dallas was 4 of 11. So a little bit better there for San Fran. But as I mentioned, Brock Purdy only sacked once. Dak Prescott sacked 4 times. 4 turnovers for the Cowboys, 1 turnover for the Niners. Just an all-around beating. Masterclass by the Niners. They were number 1 in my power ranking last week on our podcast for a reason. They were my mortal lock of the week, -4 for a reason. Yes, I am a Cowboy fan. Yes, we get painted as delusional very often. But when I came out and I said this team's to get their ass beat on Sunday Night Football, I don't think that was very delusional. I mean, they came out and they got whooped up and down the field for 60 minutes all night long Sunday night. So we'll see. Moving forward, we'll see how they respond, and we'll see if they could face the Niners again in the playoffs. Will the result be different? Will it not be different? Last thing I'll say, the last 2 times these teams played in the playoffs, the Niners scored 23 points and then 19 points respectively. That's 42 combined in the last 2 meetings. They scored 42 alone Sunday night. So I don't know how you stop this team. I really don't. I mean, I'm not willing to say Brock Purdy's a top 5 quarterback or an MVP candidate yet, but they just have so much around him, and they don't ask him to do a whole lot, and he does it well. So you really can't really blame the guy at all. You can't knock his game in the slightest. The Niners team is a juggernaut. It simply is. But thank you guys for watching. I'll have a preview for next week's game coming out here soon. Kellen Moore revenge game potentially as the Cowboys go to LA to face the Chargers. And we'll see you in the next one. Thank you guys for watching.